It goes.
Don't start with that, Jack, please. And we're live, Jack and Ori.
Woo woo!
I just wanna. I'm not live anymore. Inside, I've died. Actually, did you know a Maytech board draws 0.5 milliamps, doing sod all. Anyway, hello and welcome to Let's Drone Out. Our guest didn't show up because we're shit. Good luck editing this one, editor. Like, if you cut all the negativity out of me, let me know. Send me an invoice of the extra work that you've had to do because I'm a child. To brighttillifly@gmail.com or my personal email. I don't want to live anymore, Jack.
What's the domain on that? If you're going to make up an email address, give it a valid domain, else it won't work.
No, I can at gmail.com. There you go.
Okay.
There you go. I thought hotmail.com because I'm hot trash. You are listening to Let's Drone Out. Ignore all my voice. The only people you should pay attention to is everyone's favourite Curry Kitten.
Hello.
Andrew / Frank.
Hello.
And my little tone star.
Bonjour.
Did you get my ring? Did you say yes? Are you going to marry
That
me?
is an e-scooter that I ordered, and I tracked it.
Oh my god, guys, the dementia's kicked right in.
I tracked that for 3 months, and that was a scooter I ordered for 60 quid. Well, it was 2 actually, and then it turned up and it was a ring.
What the hell? What I heard is, are you going to marry me? That's an e-scooter. I mean,
welcome to Let's Drone Out.
Yeah,
to get it out of the way.
Cut all this, please, editor.
Do you quickly want to explain why you're so sad, Jack?
Because it's the end of Let's Drone Out. There's a better podcast. Go watch Sharpoo on. I can't.
What, the guy that flies all the time?
Sharpoo?
I've begged that guy. I've literally begged him. So there's a better podcast. Everyone go and subscribe to it. It's Drone is Life. I watched the Co Nasty one. That was all right. Drone is Life, and on set the reminder for it. It's next Wednesday at 8 p.m. and I've literally begged him. So yeah. I've added it as a bookmark.
I think Jack's a bit salty that he's spent about 5 years asking Sharpoo every week to come on.
My knees are sore. Links in the chat. Go watch that podcast. I don't know whether I'm ever going to podcast again.
Jack, how many times has Sharpoo released a flying video in the last 4 to 5 years? He's irrelevant now. Who cares?
I like his little face.
He just does stuff with computers and
apparently he doesn't like your little face. Take the hint and move on.
Exactly.
The thing is, Jack's not a...
Or I'm accidentally Hitler. Refer to me as Hitler too. My name's not Jack anymore.
Jack's
Go and draw yourself in a little Hitler moustache and we'll think about it.
Hi, Wacky Wes from Hong Kong. What's up?
It's pointless. I offered to donate to charity.
Oh. The thing is, Jack's not about the hype train. Jack's about the OG. That's what Jack is about.
I know.
Yeah, but
I mean,
what are you going to ask him? What, like, if he got? How long? When did you fly last? I don't know.
It's funny because Robin FPV is saying, I've not managed to watch your Drone is Life podcast yet. They're 2 or 3 hours long and nothing really happened in the bits I've tried to watch. Not like our show. Everything happened.
Crash.
And it's all extremely relevant and all about drones all the time.
Oh, no.
Well, we have got some information for you on the...
He made electrical tape cool. Sharpoo.
We've got lots of information today.
We have, even though the HD guy blew us out again. Oh no! Did he get another electrical storm? What happened?
Okay, so we were going to have our guest on, Stephen, who's one of the devs on Open.hd. Last time he was due to come on, a storm blew a tree down and took out his internet.
That's what Sharpoo said to Jack.
He sent me a picture.
Said, I hate you, and I hope God smites you. And
shut up, Jack. Someone mute him. This time, unfortunately, he's had to work. But what I did, rather than just say, "Oh, we'll try and just talk about nothing," I decided to try and ask him the questions that I thought you guys would want to know the answers to, and try and at least have a conversation about what OpenHD is and what it does. So a question to our many viewers, because a couple of them have mentioned OpenHD before. Has anybody tried it? Has anybody looked at it? Hey, Wes, how you doing?
No.
I'm waiting, but there's not going to be an answer. So, yes, if Stephen was here, he'd probably say something like, OpenHD is an open source project. Yeah, thank you, Lurky. Anywhere but here, I think, was his last comment. Open source project in order to get HD FPV out to the masses. And they do this.
That's possible.
How is it possible without DJI goggles and spending £800 of your earned money to give your data away to China, and which they can remotely turn your goggles off anytime they like?
Yes.
No, I'm not bitter about DJI not sending me any review goggles. Not like Jack. I don't have carry kit in brackets. DJI hate me. They do it by the use currently of Raspberry Pis. That is what they're doing. They have. They have an air Pi and a ground station Pi, essentially. And your ground station obviously receives, your air sends. And what they do, they hook it in to a flight controller. So your normal flight controller is up in your normally plane people are flying at the moment. And it speaks Mavlink, but it can talk free sky telemetry, Betaflight. I want to say iFlight. What am I trying to say? iNav, and this can generate a nice HD OSD and put it over the top of it, and that beams down. And people are getting really good results with this. They are fitting out multiple Wi-Fi adapters, essentially, along with the Pi. They're not using the internal Wi-Fi. They're fitting USB Wi-Fi adapters to get diversity, at least very much on the receiving station, and also on the sending station. And
is it all on planes, or is it on quads as well?
It's been on planes so far. I think people have put it on quads, but not the quads we're thinking about, because right now they are getting a sort of glass-to-glass latency of about 100 milliseconds, which is going to be too slow for flying fast 5-inch quads. However, one interesting thing that they are extending this for is something called... I've lost my link to it now, Frank, after telling you what it was.
Oh, God.
Where'd it go? Oh, here it is. Something called... Who has heard of the Jetson Nano? Raise your hand.
This all comes together, I see now.
Nobody's there. So the Jetson Nano is a small single board computer that NVIDIA has produced. And being NVIDIA, it has a 128 core GPU on it, along with a 4-core CPU and 4 gigs of memory. With that, they've been testing it. They haven't released it so far, and they are getting on that between about 40 and 50 milliseconds, which gets a little bit closer. What are you getting on the DJI, Tony, before it becomes unflyable? Is it sort of 30-ish?
No, I can fly on 30. If you put it on high quality mode, it's around 30 and it bumps up to 37 sometimes, but it's flyable if you're freestyling sort of nice and slow sort of stuff.
Not too close to the ground or tree.
No. You can definitely feel it. You can definitely feel when the lag starts and like, oh my God, I need to turn around, or I'm a bit high, or I'm behind something. But yeah. So I don't know. Yeah, but anything above 50 is too much.
Yeah. So that's where it is at the moment. So with the right camera, Pi to Pi, you can get down to about 85 milliseconds, which still puts it out of race quads, but puts it into your sort of large cruising quads or a plane that you're not flying at 200 miles an hour, 6 inches off the ground.
If you were doing a long range HD video with a 7-inch drone or flying a wing file, that's just and it's got to be a cheaper option than DJI, isn't it?
Well, yeah,
because if you know what you're doing, is it hard work? Could I do it?
No, absolutely not. Not a chance in hell. but you're a special case. But you could get Jack to do it, because everyone knows that Jack is an expert on the Raspberry Pi, because that's his that's his job, isn't it? And you can ask him any Linux question ever, and he will instantly know the answer. But one interesting thing about it is you can, using the whole end-to-end Wi-Fi link, you can use it as the control signal as well. So although you'll use a traditional radio, you can use a traditional radio, or you can plug it in via joystick mode to the Raspberry Pi, and you can fly the whole thing with that. So there's certainly, although like the Pi, and at the moment they're recommending the Pi 4B is quite sizable. You can take bits out, but you can fly it with the Pi Zero. There's a special build for the Pi Zero. There's a special camera for the Pi Zero, and they are obviously cheap. In fact, the camera's 5 times the price of the actual computer, bizarrely.
Is that still using an external Wi-Fi dongle, or is that using its own? Okay.
You will need a Wi-Fi dongle. In many cases, people are cutting out the USB connectors and soldering things straight on.
Wow.
I'm with Mr. Shady at the moment, right now.
Well, yeah. If you want an out of the box thing that works really well, then buy DJI. If you enjoy to tinker and you like the idea of people putting this together themselves, where things are going to sort of develop, then I personally think it's quite an exciting system, and I think I'm going to put one together. I'm going to put my money down and actually buy some stuff.
Are you going to go for the Raspberry Pi, or are you going to go for the Jetson?
I'm going to go for the Pi, because if I don't, the Jetson's a bit more expensive. At the moment, the Jetson's about 95 quid, as opposed to, I think, £34 for a 2 gig
sounds about right.
Pi, which in the air is absolutely fine. He said you'd get an advantage to have more memory on the ground Pi, just because it records everything to memory before it flushes it out to disk or whatever. What are you saying, Tone?
What do you? Wait, do you need DJI? do you need HD goggles for this to work?
Well, you need something to look at it, but the Raspberry Pi.
Does it work could you put a TV in the back of your car and use it like that, or do you need HD goggles? I mean, it's pointless wearing analog goggles flying it, isn't it?
It would be. Plus, you wouldn't have anything to tune in with. So on the Pi 4, I think there's 2 HDMIs out. So a popular thing is to get like a little ground station. There's like a 7-inch touchscreen that people generally use, but because it's got HDMI out, you can go out to HD goggles if you've got them. So HDOs aren't quite up to HD.
Not really HD though, are they?
It's close, but the Orcas, box goggles, or you go to a separate monitor which has full HD, and you can look at it on there.
So you could do a TV fly.
Yes,
in the back of the boot or something. That's quite good.
Or you could just sit down with a big monitor on your lap. I don't know.
So time you bought your 50-inch screen and put it in the back of your car, it's going to cost the same as some goggles from DJI.
Well, yeah. I mean, it depends what you're into, and depends what you're going to get. But I can't afford to splash out that much, sadly, on the DJI system, and I'm a little bit worried that then I'd have one thing which is HD, and then I have all this other analog gear. I'm hearing so many stories about guys that are saying there is. This is Blood's question. Did you say it's 720 or 1080? I think what FPS? It varies. It depends what you want. It can be setting up. I think 720 is its broadcast. I don't know if it can go to 1080. It can certainly capture at 1080. I did that. That's one of the questions I didn't have. Damn it! I should have looked at that one. That's probably on the wiki. Yes, it's. I think it's 720. I don't know if you can make it go to 1080. And
what bit rate is it then? Because I think you know the bit rate, right?
Yes, and that's about 12 to 16 megabits per second. And I did ask, why? How come? Because I said our viewers will say this is crap because DJI does 50 megabits per second.
Well, it's standard at 25, and now it's 50. And
you can.
Have you seen the stones? Wow!
Intently. And he said to me, "We could broadcast at a much higher rate, but we choose not to because one of the things it's like we don't want to sort of spend the money on that when the latency is still at 100 milliseconds because it's like, oh, this is amazing, but it's still behind. So these are things that can change. One of the problems Stephen's having as there's only 4 committers in the project, but he's saying there's so many people wanting to put changes in all the time to improve it that it's already getting a little bit out of control. So he's already at the situation where he has to say, everybody slow down and because the code's all over the place. It's all spaghetti. And it's loads of scripts and things that are running. So he's trying to reorganize it back to something much better because at the moment it's quite involved to set up and he wants it easier. Sounds cool. FPS is quite important for latency. Sounds like a good tentative. Shark poo. Sorry, shark bite.
Whereas Mikey Dread says now, isn't it? That everyone flying DJI goggles has started dribbling and having an eye twitch.
I don't know what you're fucking talking about. I'm in love with my DJI stuff. I swear, if I'm driving to Mikey's and I'm going to go, here, fly my drone. Because you've got to fly it. You can't tune in and do it because you'll tune in and you'll see little bits of break up and it's not the same. I'll just put the goggles on his head, give him my controller, give him a nice drone to fly. Oh, what? Mikey Dread drone? Yeah, that'll do. And then you watch it. Love it. He will love it. I know. I love it. I'm going to buy another one soon.
Well, everyone will love it, and Tony's just invited everybody to fly his drone.
Yeah,
which is all good.
Seriously, if you want to have a go, I would do that. I'd have to buy some antibacterial wipes for everyone's head.
Got a fog machine down there somewhere. We'll stick some ISO in it. It'll be fine.
Yeah,
I guess this is one thing. I thought would be more fun. I don't know why, but maybe it's because I'm some sort of weird masochist. But it's like, oh yeah, I could buy the DJI system, but then I just install it and fly, and it would work. And that's that wouldn't take long, would it? I could make a video about that, but endless videos of me trying to set this up and it not working. That sounds brilliant.
Mikey Dread says he likes not seeing grass. It's the stones now, mate. The stones. Have you seen the stones?
It's all about the stones. But yeah, I think there's potential in this one. When I think it's a plane at the moment. Basically, it's go fly plane, and you have this lovely HD. But of what I've seen, I think they're doing really nice things especially with the OSD. The OSD is just so clear and crisp in combination with flying it like RD Pilot or something, and going out to beyond 10K. Or as we call it here, 400 meters, and still looking really nice and getting a really good frame rate. And it recovers the signal instantly, Tony, if it loses it. That's quite good.
No, that is quite good. Because I've had problems with that. IAA, yeah, I've had problems with trying to get the signal back.
I think the only thing it sounds like at the moment, is the Pi cameras aren't especially great quality lenses, whereas the DJI camera is pretty exceptional from what we hear, and that could be readily improved.
Very good.
Yeah, I think I've seen people kind of cannibalize the Pi cameras and put other lenses on it.
Yeah, people are changing out the sensor and lenses, and the new Pi HQ camera has an M12 fit, so you can put your regular FP lens on that sort. I think we're M12, aren't we?
Say something, Jack.
Ow. My insides hate me as much as Sharpoo.
Are you looking really, really white? Have you got a light on your face? Or you just not been out for 20 years? And he's muted again. How white he is. Why is he so white?
So I'll be putting one of these together and we can track it against how Frank is doing with his VTOL.
Well, unless it takes you over a year to build it, then I think you've probably beaten me already.
Well, I haven't even ordered the parts yet.
Don't worry.
I know, but
I've gone in.
I already concede defeat.
Self-masochistic ways. I've ordered a flight test build kit, so I'm going to be punching
Which one
myself
did you get,
dick.
Jack?
Head, punching yourself in the head, then. There he's gone again. He just don't like it today. Like,
Jack is really unhappy.
I'm so unhappy, Jack.
But what's this I hear about the shark bite, the new release, or showing it? Did you see it, Frank?
Yeah. So there's a new video being posted out today. I
haven't seen that yet.
By them. It's flying out 1 kilometer and turning around and coming back. And it looks as you'd kind of expect, really. It's, it looks better than some previous attempts. But
have they changed the name?
So
it's called Shark Bite now instead of Bite Frost.
Okay. So they have.
Bite Frost was that thing I tested, which made Greg make nasty comments on my YouTube channel, and now he hates me as much as Sharpoo hates Jack.
We're just like the pariahs of the FPV world.
Yeah.
That's it.
So there was no breakup because it was quite nasty before, especially going out to 1 kilometer.
Well, there's sort of a little bit of kind of the
artificial sort of mosaic-y where it's like sort of squares just like appearing.
But it's it it looked flyable the whole way. I wouldn't have complained at all. Looked fine to me. Cool. Just wait to see kind of how people get on with it, and
so is it getting released?
Prices like ultimately, because that's the big question.
Do we know what the price is going to be?
I don't know what the price is going to be for that one. I haven't seen it. So we'll see what comes up. But it'll be interesting to see what they do, because potentially, because it won't. I don't think it's like you'd need whole new goggles for it, from what I can tell.
Well, you've got to have at least HDOs, haven't you?
Well, yeah.
Well, not necessarily. You can. Your goggles will scale. I use that system on my Dom Freeze.
I've watched scaled 4K TV. It's crap.
Yeah, it's but you don't need it. Obviously, it would be much better if you had it. But at least it's like you don't have to buy everything. You can go in gentle sections, I suppose. And effectively, how it was before is you basically, it was like fitting a different VTX to a quad as opposed to like a whole air unit sort of thing. And although the camera had to be a certain type of camera, and then you just had to have the receiving thing. So I guess the receiving thing is something that fits on your goggles and has some sort of HDMI cable that plugs in.
I agree with this comment.
So Blood says it will only work properly on HDO2. Everything else will be worthless.
Yeah, I agree, mate. I totally agree. It's like watching. Why would I fly it with my Fat Shark V2? It's just pointless. You need to view it in HD. You need a laptop or.
You are such a DJI snob now. Just get it tattooed across your forehead.
There's no point. There's literally no point. It's like when I've watched Back to the Future upscale to 4K. It's just
he spent too long with it beaming its brainwaves directly into his skull.
Yeah, sorry, but I agree.
It's the polar opposite of his tinfoil hat. It's like
he's in trouble when trying to flick the Let's Blow a Westerner's brains up They have a special switch.
It's got
Maybe
big
so.
brain.
Maybe so.
Other interesting bit of news is the Ghost, the Immersion RC Ghost.
Yes, just seen that stuff a couple of hours ago. It was released on the. Looks interesting.
I particularly like the fact how Tony Cake has managed to reignite the little war they were having with TBS.
In there. Yeah,
just a couple. Like this 900 stuff's crap. Once you get a couple of pilots up, you want the 2.4 band. It's much wider.
Yeah. So what the Immersion RC Ghost is a kind of whole radio system, almost
Thanks,
like
Richard.
a protocol, using 2.4 gigahertz, but in ways that I haven't quite understood. It's different and longer range and stuff, and low latency, high frequency,
Super low latency.
Yeah.
They were a bit vague though, weren't they, on the range? The specifics were something like more range than you'll ever need, which is a bit presumptuous. I haven't told you how much I want yet.
Well, what was it? 4 milliseconds?
I think so.
Yeah, something like that.
That's
222.22 hertz, I think I remember seeing, which I thought was a very odd number. That must come
but
from
4 milliseconds, that's crazy fast, isn't it?
But yeah, it'd be interesting to see. Apparently, they sent out some review units today, I think the post said. So we'll see. No, you've insulted him. He's not going to send anything to you.
I'll add him to people that hate me.
Yeah,
everybody except for Sharpoo. He rings me every Friday.
In fact, he rings you after the show, right?
We chat about animating and things.
Yeah,
and how much we all hate Jack.
He will leave this show.
Yeah, the Ghost receiver looks to be very small,
very tiny.
and interestingly, I saw on the details about it. He's also releasing with it the Red Ghost, which is a alternative. So using, I think, the same protocol by the looks of it, but using different frequencies. So you can get it for 800 whatever millihertz or 400 millihertz. That's
not.
That's what happens when you confuse milliwatts and milliamps and
yeah,
gigawatts.
Yeah, so if people really want the very low frequency stuff because they want to fly through trees or something, then maybe that'll be
probably good for the racers, isn't it? Like, I mean, the dig was there, but it is quite true if everyone is flying on the alternative. If you've got 8 pilots, sometimes it does go wrong. And if they can get the latency down to that from 4 milliseconds but then what's going to happen does it say if everyone's flying or 8 pilots racing on Ghost, is it still 4 milliseconds? And
it's a good question, because I think that's the thing with what's being said about the Crossfire is that even to get the 6-8 pilots up, you have to turn off the telemetry, right? So that there's enough bandwidth for all the pilots to actually be able to fly. And apparently even then there's occasionally some kind of very brief glitches.
Little tiny glitches. Little ones which if you're racing and your quad does that for a millisecond, it's not nice feeling. So I don't know. If it can do it,
I'm interested to know how they've got the range up that high then, because they're still on essentially what is a bit like the 2.4 band, and Free Sky have done things in 2.4 with very sensitive receivers. They had their LR9, LR12, which go in excess of 5K, but he seems to be suggesting tens and tens of kilometers, which is a whole new ball game and usually way out of what the 2.4 band can do. So
I'm gonna speculate here that maybe they're doing a similar thing as the the 50 megabit kind of equivalent on the DJI, where by using a wider amount of the bandwidth in one go, then you should be able to go further because you can use more of it in one go, even though you're not having to put the power up. So there might be.
I heard the max power is 350 milliwatt on 2.4. I think I read that. Not entirely sure.
Yeah,
Don't quote me on that.
I saw 350 somewhere as well, Tony. But
they were also
suggesting. Sorry, I was just say they're also suggesting this is part of like an IRC ecosystem, which sort of automatically joins a network and knows about each other, as what I read. So it's like, what do you mean? You've got goggles? We make those, or the rapid fire. We'll talk to one another, or something like that.
Yeah, which is something that's been talked about in the TBS land for quite a while, isn't it?
TBS are calling it the cloud, even though that name was already taken some years ago.
Yeah, exactly. The TBS cloud was what they've been talking about, and so this, I think, is kind of the equivalent of that, which it could be interesting. But yeah, the thing I was saying there is that by kind of dynamically using different amounts of the bandwidth that's available on 2.4, then you could do a similar thing like the DJI does, where if you're flying on your own, you just say 50 megabits, use the whole thing, or with the Ghost, maybe you say use the whole thing and just let me fly really far.
So you think it effectively floods the band, and like some of it's going to get through, we hope, and that'll be enough.
Well, because also if you've got, radio is only something I've watched other people deal with, but if you've got like just a tiny little band, but you've put all your 25 milliwatts on that tiny little narrow bit of bands, then that won't go as far as if you've got a huge whole gigahertz section where you can put that whole be on 25 milliwatts from 1 gigahertz to 2 gigahertz or whatever. So then you might be able to just use that to get you a bit further through science and physics that I don't entirely understand.
Let's ask Jack his thoughts. Jack, what are your thoughts on any of this?
I don't know.
Excellent.
CBS like retaliating, saying that they're going to release something, and it's probably doing the same weird thing that Fly Sky's about to release.
I see it's got 2 antennas on it, on the plug-in module. One for transmitting, one for receiving. Both for transmitting. Who knows? Both for receiving.
I mean, they managed to put a OLED screen on both the mini module and the JR one as well, which is quite nice.
I think if you mute yourself, you should be texting Tony Cake.
Jack, have you got any fireworks?
I think you can set light. So thanks, Clive.
Thank you, Clive.
That might cheer him up, or probably take another couple of minutes off his life.
Hopefully this will burn and disfigure my face, so no one will look at me ever again like Sharpie.
But yeah, so then when you're flying with other people and you're not, you need to not use the whole bands, then you only use a little bit of it, and so you share it out more equally. But then when you're with loads of people at a race, then you're not flying as far anyway, so it doesn't matter so much.
People are mentioning the Fly Sky module as well. I think, did Lee show that when he was on, or were we just talking about it?
Was that a new thing out as well? Have they tried something?
Fly Sky have brought out a 2.4 module that they reckon will go to 50 kilometers somehow.
Wow.
But they are putting out. Are they putting out stupid amounts of power in it? Is that what they're doing?
That also would work, I guess.
No, it just says AFS is 2A.
Well, Zero's put in a chat. It will do 50 kilometers below 10 milliseconds of latency. Wow. Well, that's pretty good if it can go that far with that much latency, to be fair.
It strikes me that there must be some sort of new 2.4 chip on the market that everybody's just jumped on and said, "Oh, we'll have this and we'll put it in a module."
Well,
it's magic.
That was the other thing about the Ghost is or the kind of this willy waving between Ghost and Crossfire. That with Crossfire for any like tiny whoops, you have to just use the Crossfire board and as a separate board, whereas with the Ghosts, they're offering to license out, I guess, a little centimeter square design of a receiver, so that you can put it on a directly on a Whoop flight controller. So that might mean that kind of tempts some people that way.
This is definitely shots fired, isn't it? It harks back. I remember
the best bit is all good for us. Let them fight.
Yeah, I think this. I remember where this started. It was Trappy complaining that Immersion RC. What was the Immersion RC system? I've forgotten it again. The Easy UHF, which they used to use and used to recommend all the time, was going a bit wonky, and then Sander, who was then at IRC, basically suggested that Trappy wasn't working it right. Which all got a little bit personal, and I think TBS basically went, "Screw you then, and we'll go and make our own radio." And they're like, "Yeah, whatever." And then they did, and this is them eventually coming back and saying, "P.S. Crossfire's shit. We're better."
Which we all don't mind, but it all costs us money because we all invest. You know, I've invested in Crossfire and stuff like that. I'm happy with it. Don't race anymore. I haven't raced for a year and a half, but. I went to Texas and raced, but not raced any 5-inch stuff for ages. But I don't know. It's just more things to buy, isn't it? But I mean, it keeps pushing the hobby, so it's all good in my eyes.
It's interesting how kind of rapid fire is almost universal now as like the VRX goggle modules you get.
Is that because you only use DJI, Tony? Or
no, I've only got one DJI drone. 29 others are all analog.
But you don't fly those anymore. We know that.
I do, just not as often because what
module do you have for your goggles, Tony?
Module is I use the ground station. Yeah, Clearview
ground station, like a caveman does. Drag around a little tripod with you.
Remember?
Yeah, but it's like.
This is why Tony hasn't got a rapid fire, because he would have to do a goggle mod to his goggles, and he might as well just smash them up.
It cost me 300 quid that ground station, and when I use it on analog, you don't get any breakup on it. It's worth using. It's worth it.
Yeah. What is it? What's on it?
What, Clearview?
Have you got Clearview in all your quads then?
No, you just Clearview is the receiver.
Oh, I thought that was a different system as well. Is it just
you're thinking of Connex?
Oh yeah, you're right.
No, Clearview
just expensive, isn't it? Clearview.
It was. I think it was more than 300. I paid for it at the time. This was probably 3 years ago. But when I used it, I was like, "Oh my god!" And then people were looking at my DVR at races, saying, "How comes you got no breakup?" And I was like, "Well, I was using Clearview." But that was the same. I've flown that quite far, and then when it broke up, it never come back. It went black, and that was it.
The other thing with the sort of digital signal processing is if you've got like on the new Matec boards where you've got the camera switcher, it doesn't like that. Doesn't like that at all. Because it's too clever.
Video sync signals. It breaks them.
Yes. But
rapid fire is great unless it's not. And then like I was just flying it the other day, and the picture just went. I'm going across the screen for a while. What's going on?
That's so bad.
But I haven't actually seen. I don't think I've seen a TBS Fusion module in the flesh. Has anyone actually seen one?
No, and I haven't got one.
It's interesting. Crossfire made such a huge inroad. It's got everywhere. I've seen that so much. Like it's almost universal.
Well, it was fly through a bando because back in the day you'd fly through a bando and your signal would drop and you couldn't see. Plus you couldn't fly because your transmitter would drop out. Now Crossfire conquered that. You can fly pretty far. Can fly through a lot of things, a lot of dense woods and bandos and that. So yeah, it's all changing, but it's all good for us. So I say let them fight.
So Double A and Concrete Snail in the chat, big fans of the Fusion. So
they have them, but we haven't seen them technically. So sorry, you don't count unless anybody has met up with Concrete Snail or.
I like that. That is a good answer, Clive. Well done.
Clive was going to get a TBS Fusion module, but bought an X-Class frame instead.
Good boy. Nope.
There was a point earlier, I think it might have been Clive as well, who asked, would you put DJI on your X-Class, Tony? If not, then it can't be that good.
I only can't put it on there in case I have to race it again. This is the thing.
This is a politician's answer.
No, if I'm going to get it, I've got invited again next year to another X-Class race in California, but I can't put DJI on it because I can't race internationally with DJI yet.
Well, you could. It's a year away. Surely it doesn't. I know it's you.
Well,
but
if they do an update and it don't blast everyone out the sky, and it's just not a thing you can do yet. So.
What he's trying to say is that now I run it on 50 megahertz mode, I can't go anything below that because it means plugging it into the computer again.
No, it's just you can't race with it. You can't. You can put it on 25 milliwatt and stuff, but it will just still blast other people out of the sky. So there's no point. And then people will say, "Oh, you had an unfair advantage" and all that lot. So it's just not got to that stage yet. I mean, if they had a DJI exclusive X-Class race, I'll do it, and then we could all just go on 25 and you can have 8 X-Class flying. I mean, the most we flew was 4 racing against each other anyway, but it's just you can't do it yet for international racing.
I did have a peer through Clint's goggles, and
did you?
Goddamn analog's garbage, isn't it? Really.
There you go. Thank you, Jack.
Is this really why you're so upset? Like,
I'm upset about loads of stuff. I've had
your whole life is a lie.
Yeah, basically, talk to me till a couple of weeks after the 11th because I've had no drugs, so I just poo everywhere.
Oh,
sorry, edit that out if you want, editor.
It's nothing new then, really.
I dropped my Tyrannus on my foot. So I saved one side of the switches, but then bruised my foot with 2 little switch pinholes in my right foot, and then it bounced off my foot and then broke the other side switches. So I've had to replace switches like that, and you can't stick the stupid red switches in, which I've got plenty of, because
do you need a new
they
radio?
bump up against each other. Because they're longer, so they use the short X10 Horus switches. So that pissed me off. They're like £4 a pop. Thank you, T9 Hobbies.
He swore at 43 minutes, editor.
Did I?
Just helping out.
What did I say?
Well, we don't need to say it again, do you? Just don't worry about it.
It don't matter. It's like, I'm so sorry. Like, if he wants a beer, just PayPal me. I do apologise. And what other bull hoo-ha? Yeah, I can't believe my heart's broken. I don't know. He must hate me. Like, I made him my god.
Get over him.
No.
Just make him like Hitler or the devil.
He's not.
He was a full prophet, Jack.
When was the last time he flew? When was his last video release?
I cried.
Totally pointless.
Oh,
You can probably actually fly better than him now.
Tony, what it is Sharpoo has been posting every week after the show. Where as soon as Jack, sends his weekly message to Sharpoo begging him to come on, Sharpoo replies with a private video just for Jack to show him that he's been flying, and ends with just him sticking 2 fingers up at the camera.
Super sticker. You got to like something.
A weekly thing.
I'm going to make a shirt that says Sharpoo hates me.
Bless.
I'm hurt. I'm actually butthurt. There's not many things that actually like physically, mentally cut me, but that's one of them.
I mean, I'd love to go to IO next year. I've been invited to California for another X-Class race. So I don't know. If you can get to California, say hello.
And cried in The Incredibles.
I've asked Jack to go to IO with me as well. I told him to start saving some money. How's that money saving going, Jack? Yeah.
Right. That's about it.
Yeah.
Gigawatts is wondering if at some point DJI will force a firmware update that limits output power to the country's legal limit.
If it does, I will sell my goggles because I've flown 25 watts and it's poo-poo.
Who's going to want to buy them with the 25 milliwatts?
No one. They'd be scrapped. I'll go back to analog. I would go back to analog if that happened. Seriously.
I'll be on my pie, laughing.
In all seriousness,
controlling it, and a second later wondering what happened.
Hopefully, in the better podcast, they'll ask him, "Who do you want to bitch slap most?" And if he does not say me, I will let Tony slap me in the face as hard as he likes.
He won't say you because you're so meaningless to him. Clearly,
I know. I am just.
Oh damn! I really want to slap you really hard. Can we do it on like 240 frames a second?
Yeah. So, I'm not talking.
Mute yourself again, Jack. Literally, he had enough. Bless him.
Jack, at this point, is the oldest 13-year-old that we know, but his heart's been broken. We'll never love again.
Actually upset.
If you cry a little bit on air, I'll send you some money or something.
Yeah,
it won't. It will just be cry wanking. If anyone doesn't know what that is.
Only you know what that is. There you go. There's a cheer you up for you.
Richard Warwick. It's meaningless unless you're show.
I'll take that, Richard. Tell him to bugger off.
So maybe we should shame Frank now and say, what's the situation with your wing build? How's it going?
Frank, what have you been doing?
It's still in pieces on the desk. In other news, anyone see the enormous unmanned
explosion
aerial vehicle? Well, there was that as well, but that wasn't where I was going with this.
Okay, sorry.
Giant unmanned helicopter they're using or were using at the weekend on the north coast of Wales to help with the Coast Guard. So apparently on a weekend like last weekend, a lot of the Coast Guard's time would be spent just sort of hovering around, watching beaches, waiting for someone to do something stupid, and kind of monitoring what people are up to and which beaches are busy and all that kind of stuff. And they used an enormous helicopter thing.
That's cool.
What was its task? Just to spot people or to rescue people or what?
Just to kind of monitor activity and look out for people and that kind of thing. But it had a duration of 10 hours.
What, flight time?
Yeah, staying airborne for 10 hours.
Does it run on diesel?
It basically is a helicopter, but they've replaced the cockpit with computers. But yeah, it looks.
Was it flying itself, or did it have someone sitting in a, in a computer room or whatever?
I don't know how autonomous it was. I imagine it wouldn't have been very autonomous.
On the beach, there was a guy in his chairs with the goggles on, saying, "Yeah, this is good."
That is proper FPV flying, isn't it?
But yeah, if anyone,
that's proper drone flying. Back
anyone,
in what they used to term drone.
Yeah, if anyone did spot it at the weekend, and it's quite hard to miss.
Is it the same size as a normal chopper?
It looks a little bit smaller, but it's pretty big thing. Let me see if I can.
How high does it go? How long can it go?
Do you have to keep it in visual line of sight?
Yeah, I
imagine that would kind of spoil the point.
Did they have to put a registration number on the side in 3mm high
letters?
Yes,
it does have a registration number on the side.
Oh, it's that little thing under there.
Oh, it looks like it just gave birth to it, the one below.
Oh, plop, plop, there it comes. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's Golf Uniform Alpha Sierra Alpha. Is the registration.
Oh, it looks quite good.
Yeah.
So what could it do then? Was it just literally keep an eye on
camera? Yep.
Can it do power loops? Can it fly upside down?
There's some sharks underneath them swimmers. Better report back type thing. Or that person's out in a riptide.
I think they've had that in Australia for a while, haven't they? They've had AI systems on their drones that try and spot sharks in the water. Somewhere.
That's pretty good tech, but you wouldn't want one falling on your head though, would you? Especially if you're swimming.
I expect whether you were swimming or just standing around, it's equally painful.
Yeah. Well, it just gets me how they're allowed to fly these above crowded beaches and they're autonomous and yeah.
Well, I think it was over the sea, but looking at the beaches.
Right, so out over the sea, looking that way and flying on. Okay, that's fair enough.
Jack, Mr. Shady has a question for you.
I'm not answering.
Yep.
Mr. Shady asks, how is Jack's wing flying after Andrew Newton's tips?
Well, maintaining my Hitler-ness, I had a friend and he broke his flight controller. He got hooked on a like his ESC had a pigtail coming out of it with a JST connector, and it hooked on one of the pins and fried his board. And I was like, "Hey man, don't order another one. You can have mine, and I'll upgrade." And so I took this one out and I stuck it in their wing. And so I don't know. I don't have that board anymore. So on the 17th, I think, I'm gonna be. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe which is not next Friday, but the Friday after. I think not next week.
You're going to go out for a fly?
No, I'm chatting to Pavel.
The one that you can't.
Number 5.
So you can't introduce his name, and you're chatting to him on your channel.
Yeah, and we're going to go through. I know.
I'm just going to watch it for the comic value for the first 5 minutes.
I'm going to refer to him as Meerkat number 5, or the lead developer of iNav. Yeah, so that was it, and I tortured that friend, and I attached jump leads to his nipples because I'm purely evil. Why else would Chapu hate me? Today, and sorry, I was middle writing some stuff in the chat. Apparently, like the podcast feed's been really whack, and Tony was having a little sulk, so the episode didn't go up, so no one got the.
It should be up today.
No one got 5% off their thing, and everyone's complaining at me.
Well, it was on
you
the
can only
Facebook,
get the live
it
stuff
was on
if you're
the
live.
Patreon, and it was on the Twitter, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's all my fault. I was clearly not a good husband to Tony, therefore.
Well, I did actually think you sent me a ring this week. Until I realised it was a cheating Chinese man who.
Why did you think you could buy 2 electric scooters for 60 quid? Do you know what I mean?
On offer!
I did not condone that. Any views expressed on this show are personal, and any racism is completely personal to him, not me. Even though apparently
Have you heard my joke? Shall I tell? No.
No jokes from Tony this evening.
Yeah. Big hit jokes.
Oh dear.
Yeah, I do you know what? Like YouTube is absolute. Like I have not seen an update from Powerful for ages, so it's weird.
There you go. Look.
I got 5% off the t-shirt Tony's wearing. I will be selling t-shirts that say
I hate Sharpoo.
No.
I got this hat for nothing.
Hey!
Shell.
Company Shell.
I watched your Ready Tank Pro whatever VTX review.
I haven't watched that one yet.
That was painful. Those poor little gummies are like cranked to an inch of their life. They were like, "There's no room. I don't like the layout."
Shut up and get in there. Push down until you fit.
I'm only using 3 screws. This could fly off at any minute. And then you scrabbling around in the dirt looking for your BB thing. And I was like, yes.
You can watch that on Friday when I lose the BB thing that I just cut myself up 100 times in the bush finding again.
So I have fitted the antenna from Menace.
Does look good. Is it? Isn't that the wrong way round?
Yeah.
Well, it's meant to be on the bottom.
Aerodynamic. Wouldn't it be better the other way round, Jack?
No, I can't.
Well, facing that way, surely. Surely, if you turn that round and face it that way, the way the wind's coming.
No, that's the direction it's meant to be in.
Yeah. Front to back, that's right. It's just it's meant to be on the bottom.
Yeah.
Oh okay. I thought I'd really pushed him over the edge there. So it's supposed to. Does it matter if it goes on the top or bottom? Then I mean,
blocking the signal a bit. It can do.
It's out on the wing. Like there's nothing I can do. That's where my original hole was. My thing.
Right. Well, fair enough.
What am I meant to do? Yeah. Just like, sod it. I'll buy another 60, 70 quid.
Make a new hole. Just get a little bit of foam and just fill it in.
Well, man, we're not animals.
Ready-made RC Fest is this weekend. I think that's in Florida because I've met the guy who runs Ready-made RC. I'm pretty sure if that's the same guy.
No,
I think they're not based in Florida. Them guys.
It says Ready-made RC FPV Fest 2020, August 7th to the 9th, Minerva, Ohio.
Yeah. Not Florida, Ohio. Yeah, I know where that is. Sorry.
I don't know what ESC it is. I can't remember, but I think it's BLES. And I'm using a Sunny Sky 1500 kV 2208, or I might use a Cobra 200 kV 2208. I don't know, it's a bit much. Or I've got another one that's
what prop you slinging on it?
I am slinging a 7-inch by 7x5 APC, or
either or of them props will be fine. The motors will be fine.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit on the juicy side. Hang on, let me just go into the old BL heli.
Are you going to go out this weekend, Jack, and fly? It's melting day. It's melting day tomorrow at 34 degrees.
Oh,
don't.
It was 28 today, and I was really hot at work.
Oh, Tony was doing the old. I
you were
don't
at
want
work.
you to be no slave.
I wasn't working. I'm not working tomorrow. I'm out on my boat tomorrow. I'm out on the river.
Oh, he's on the. He's
water-cooled.
Actually,
if it gets hot, I'm just going to get out of my boat and get in the drink.
Whatever this is.
How many years old is that?
Wow. It is.
Remember, it's a podcast and people can't hear this.
I know. I'm checking my TNT.
It seems less important to have B or Heli S on a wing. Even like PWM motors will if you go then.
Yeah.
Generally, by virtue of wanting to be up in the air, wings are generally a bit more flexible on longer latency stuff.
Sounds like it's going to be fun for you. Props off. I hope you're all social distancing your.
So it's at the flight test
at your gig,
Edgewater Park.
Someone asked in the chat earlier if I think it might have been Lurgy about an LDO meetup. Is that still on the cards at all?
We discussed it in the bonus pod last week and came to the conclusion that it would be postponed for the moment, but we will update people when we
let's try to get it in on September, maybe mid-September.
Yeah.
Still get some nice days in September.
It's mainly up to Curry at this point, but we will.
What's up to me?
Because you were the one who said no.
Well, that'll be it then.
Oh well, that's because I don't want to die. I may be a slight hypochondriac, but at the moment it seems that's a sensible way to go.
Quite legit to be, but yeah.
I
think you have to enable
Wales here. Give it 2 weeks. But, I haven't asked her if I can go anywhere, but she probably will say no.
There is also Western, as Clive has said, Western Park in October.
That's going to be cold and wet.
It'll be cold and wet, but I still say we should just go find a curry house and watch a load of fireworks and then have a curry, or vice versa.
See, Frank knows how to tempt me. He keeps mentioning curry.
Yeah.
Well, all you three, I know, are suckers for going to a curry house. So that seems like a good way to convince people to actually go somewhere that's outside of their own driveway.
A thing that kept me going for another year on this podcast was some random shouting out, "Well done, guys! Love the podcast. Keep it up." I was like,
well, that was the Drone Life people behind us.
So that kept me going for another year. But I don't know. It's a long way to go, isn't it?
But
I'm worried we are so rubbish.
Yeah, we're all missing Andy. Hopefully he'll be back soon.
Yeah, there has been an outpouring of concern and love for Andy RC on various places over the past week.
I think I broke that EFC.
Only on LDO. See,
maybe put things down and put them away, and
even I nav and hate you, Jack.
I know, it's
your
great,
computer hates you.
Pavel's found your IP address and just set the configurator to if it finds that. No, it's off.
Don't go. You got to see us out. We've gone over an hour. Come on, say goodbye, and then you can go off and scurry back to your little man cave.
Cool. Thank you. You've been listening to Let's Drone Out. You've been joined by Curry Kitten.
Goodbye.
My Little Tony.
Bonjour.
Andrew / Frank.
Bye.
And I'm Sharpie's worst enemy. Thank you. Good night.
Who's next week?
We have Dominic Clifton on next week.
He doesn't hate you, Jack.
No, he hates me as well.
Oh, he's got the same hair as you. I'm sure he likes you.
No.
They're twins.
No. He hates me. I worked for Radio C for a while.
Oh, it's